Hello and welcome to our program Where God Weeps. The future of peace in the Middle East lies in the opportunity of creating a society in which Jews, Muslims and Christians coexist peacefully. Nowhere is this example and opportunity greater than in the small country of Lebanon. And yet, over the decades, Lebanon has suffered wave after wave of terror and war played out on its territory, often the consequence of foreign interference. To tell us more, it's my great privilege to welcome Father Paul Karam, a Lebanese priest who is now the National Director of the Pontifical Mission Society in Lebanon. Father Paul, thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you also for you and for all what the Kirchinot is doing.
Father, can you tell us, you were born and raised in Lebanon.
Yes.
What moment in your life did you discern your vocation to become a priest?
It was in the period of the university because I have started my studies in law and political science. And especially during these years, I have felt the call of God. And then I have made this wonderful adventure in order to be a good priest. And I hope that I will be a good priest.
Father, your studies were also sponsored by Aid to the Church in Need.
Yes. I have this great opportunity because during that time my bishop applied to the Kirchinot for a scholarship in Rome, and Church in Need agreed to give me this scholarship, and I have made the studies in pastoral youth and catechism in the Salesian University at Rome.
Father, I'd like to talk a little bit about the situation in your country presently. You, having grown up in Lebanon, you've seen violence sweep across the country again and again. Why is it that Lebanon seems to be enduring this repeated violence that strikes the country?
Maybe it is the same question that I could ask also. All the Lebanese people are asking why. Why Lebanon is always to be sacrificed? Why Lebanon always must pay the factor, the debt of the others? This is a good question. Maybe I don't have the answer on it. Maybe the most powerful or the most interested in what we call the black market of the wars in the whole world could answer about it. But personally, I have grown in this period of war in Lebanon. I remember when I was still young, when we were going to hide in some of the room of the house because some shelling were falling near us. And even I have one of my relatives, my grandfather, who was killed by a bomb during the war. Of course, sometimes when there was a blockout of some of the region, we have walked around the mines, so you can see the mines in front of you. This was a very difficult period, we cannot forget it. But of course, this has not discouraged us. No, it has given us more and more courage, more and more look for the future, even if it was a very hard moment.
But the Lebanese people, you would say, are they bitter, are they angry about the political events that are outside of their control?
I can see many of them, yes, they are a little bit injured, for not saying angry, because it always come against the same question, why? Why Lebanon? Why all the other countries are in peace? They have a stability in their own life, but for the Lebanese, no. And that's affect for especially the youth. They emigrate, they go away, and this richness of the church are getting a little by little to be not present.
Can you tell us why? What is the motivation? What's going on that Lebanon seems to be a region on which the political landscape is being played out on Lebanon,
Yes.
on Lebanese territory?
Here we must maybe go back a little bit to the historical situation of Lebanon. You know, Lebanon is a small country, 10,450 kilometers at all. It's very, very small. But the main important about this country is that he's on the Mediterranean Sea, and from south you have Palestine or Israel, and from the other side you have Syria, which the biggest part of Lebanon on the other sides, and then on the north after Syria you have Turkey. Lebanon is a country where many confessions are living. We have 18 confessions, and they are all recognized by the Constitution.
Now, by confessions, just for clarity,
Yes.
you mean different religious traditions, or?
No, you have the Christians, you have the Muslims, and in the past we have a minority of Jews. But among Christians and Muslims, you have many confessions, for example, like the Catholic, Orthodox, Maronites, Armenian, Druze, Sunnite, Shiite. You see this, the meaning of confession.
Very good.
And they are living many years ago together.
Lebanon is a land of the Bible where Jesus Christ lived and preached. A country that through the centuries fulfilled its mission of statehood, where people of many faiths could be sure of a peaceful and tolerant coexistence. Here, in an all-embracing harmony, dwelled believers of the Eastern Catholic Churches, Maronites, Melakites, Armenians, Syrians, Chaldeans, and of the Latin Rite, in unison with all the breakaway believers of the Muslim communion, Sunnis, Shias, Druzes, Alawites, and Ismailis.
Lebanon always welcomed groups who had trouble surviving elsewhere or who were persecuted. That is why today 18 communities still continue to survive in our country. Lebanon considers this fact to be a message of responsibility for the Middle East.
Religious diversity is decisive in shaping the spiritual and cultural richness of this region. In that very cornucopia of religious communities, however, one also finds the seeds that from 1975 to 1991 contributed to the breakdown of peace and unity in the Lebanese state.
There was a war between Christians and Muslims, and people killed in the name of their religion. People were provoked to state their religious allegiances, and thus pushed into joining the fighting in defense of their faith.
The civil war that lasted 16 years and ended in 1991 left Lebanon in ruins. Surrounding countries began to meddle in the internal affairs of this land of cedars, aiming to promote religious animosities amongst the Lebanese. These intruders saw their intervention as an opportunity to achieve their expansionist aims. Ultimately, Lebanon saw its territory occupied twice over by Israeli and Syrian forces.
With my parents, we never regarded this as an internal conflict, but rather as a means for outside forces to destroy Lebanon. Because we had a great social agreement in this country before the war, which, however difficult that might be to imagine, was destroyed.
The Lebanese war brought death to 150,000 people and losses estimated at over 150 billion US dollars. The war also forced many Christians to emigrate.
Many Christians left the country. Of the 1,100,000 that did so, only 300,000 have returned. In other words, 800,000 Lebanese Christians live abroad. That is a large number for a total population of under 4 million people.
The signing of the Taif Agreement in 1991 is regarded as the turning point in Lebanon's civil war. In accordance with the National Peace Charter, Muslims gained the upper hand as the Maronites lost their dominant political position.
The war eventually ended, pretty much because the non-Christian faction triumphed. Even after the signing of the peace agreement at Taif, we continue to feel that. They said that everybody would be given an equal chance. Posts that were occupied by Christians before the war would, in line with the Taif agreement, now be equally accessible to Christians and Muslims. But that is theory. The reality is that posts previously held by Christians are now quickly passing into Muslim hands.
As the Lebanese suffer the consequences of both the political and economic crisis brought about by the war, they strive to regain their former stability and strengthen the internal workings of the state. With the ending of the war, Christians have become a minority in a Muslim society, a minority concerned that an encroaching Islamization of the state and increasing corruption is making cooperation between Christians and Muslims at the executive level difficult. Many Christians have decided to emigrate in search of a better life elsewhere.
All of this happens because of the economic crisis, but first and foremost because Christians have ceased to believe that this country is for them any longer. That a young man leaves his country in search of work in Europe in order to provide some sort of income for his family is quite normal. But alas, there are those, Christians, who leave for good.
There is, however, a ray of hope. Christians who decide to stay strive to build bridges of understanding with Muslims at the most basic level, in everyday matters that affect everyday people. Christian schools contribute significantly to this effort.
On voudrait que les enfants soient éduqués à la convivialité.
We want our children to be brought up in a spirit of fellowship, respect for religious differences, respect for different faiths and different political views. They are free. We would like to create unity. In other words, love of one's country and of fellow human beings, and love of human values that we believe in and that surely are the same for all. That is what we try to instill in our students.
Christian schools are opening their doors to children from Muslim families, and state schools likewise to children from Christian families. Recent estimates indicate that 225,000, a quarter of all Lebanese students, attend the 325 Catholic schools. Of these, 20% are Muslim and 72% Christian. First friendships begin at school.
I used to be in a Christian school, but now I attend our Muslim Christian one. I think diversity is important, to live amongst different people, because it influences an individual's personal development, because the value of a human being is not based only on personal faith and tradition.
The work religious sisters carry out in hospitals also greatly contributes to the friendly and peaceful coexistence of Christians and Muslims. In a spirit of Christian love, they bring relief to all who are ill and suffering.
Nous sommes des citoyennes comme les autres.
We are citizens of this country, just like everyone else. I think that our presence has always been viewed as positive in the eyes of our fellow citizens, Christian or not. In some regions, for example in Baalbek and Maslava, we serve Muslims.
Notre service va directement aux musulmans, par exemple à Mashghara ou à Baalbek.
Lebanese are especially devoted to the Mother of God, but not only Christians turn to her with their problems, but also Muslims.
Et le mois de mai en particulier, et le mois d'octobre aussi, on manifeste cette dévotion.
Above all, in May, but also in October, we show our devotion in every church. The priest in the neighbouring parish, together with other parishes, organises a procession in her honour. We pass through the village, and on reaching the hospital, we build an altar. Patients who are able to move, on crutches, nurses, doctors, visiting parents, all attend the liturgy for Our Lady. Muslims at the hospital also take part in the prayers. It is well known that our Muslim brothers also love the Mother of God very much, and that they call her Miriam.
Aime beaucoup Notre-Dame, Sitna Maryam.
Lebanese spiritual leaders, Christians and Muslims alike, underline that understanding, dialogue, cooperation, mutual trust and respect for diversity should be the cornerstone of Christian and Muslim coexistence in Lebanon. Both communities have their place and important roles to play in building Lebanese society. During the Holy Father's 1997 pilgrimage to Lebanon, John Paul II called upon all Lebanese, but especially the young, to work together at all possible levels, to work for the common good of all, to the exclusion of no individual, for truly we are all responsible for each other.
Religious coexistence is a mission for the whole world. Human beings are capable of love and of living in peace with their fellow brothers and sisters. If we leave all our differences behind us, then love will prevail.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to our program. It's my great pleasure to welcome today Father Paul Karam, a Lebanese priest and the National Director of the Pontifical Mission Society in Lebanon. Father Paul, recently Lebanon's political stability has again been shaken through a number of assassinations,
Yes.
particularly of Christian leaders. How resistant is Lebanon's this goodwill? How resistant is this political stability, in your opinion, to resist these attacks? And how long can this goodwill be maintained?
Of course, the Church condemns firmly these assassinations, and especially for us Christian, it's a very big injury for us, especially because you have the biggest number of these assassinations is among Christian leaders. And that's why we are asking why only for the Christian leaders, and why especially in the Christian regions where majority of presence are of the presence is a Christian one. Of course, I don't have the answer myself why they choose these leader, but I think it is all a political problem in order to oblige or to make pressure on the Christians themselves. Because as you know, historically, who made Lebanon to become a democratic country were the Christians, and especially the Maronites. Even the Muslims know this reality very well, because the Christian is a man of liberty, of freedom, of sovereignty. And maybe I can say, I'm not a political man, but maybe some of the person who are very jealous to see a small country to have this democracy, maybe they are saying, oh, let us kill many of them, so maybe they will kneel down and they will say, okay, for the Christian and for the Lebanese in general, it is not this question. We will never kneel down. The Lebanese people is full of hope. The Lebanese people is a peaceful country, is a peaceful also people. They are peaceful people. They would like to have this peace as other country. And I think the message that, the words that Pope John Paul II said during the special synod for Lebanon were prophetic words when he said, Lebanon is more than a country, he is a message for the East and for the West. And that's why you maybe not find this reality among countries who are around us, or even you cannot find it also in the West or in the East, because you know in other countries you have the democratic regime, but you don't have the confession themselves.
Do Christians play a bridge? Are Christians a glue to a society where, for example, the Sunni and the Shiite might not communicate with each other, but as a consequence of the fact that Christians are present, there is a relationship that can be established?
They are, if you like, this bridge, because you can find easily in Lebanon many places where Christian and Muslims live together. But rarely you can find a region where, for example, a Sunnite living with a Shiite or a Druze. The Christian himself, because he's an open-minded person, he dialogue, he like life. That's why the Lebanese people are full of life, full of energy. You destroy their house tomorrow, and even after destroying the house, you will find him working again and making a construction, especially the Christian in Lebanon. And all the Lebanese who are everywhere in the world, they must not leave the hope to hope, must not make a part to hope in a new Lebanon, Lebanon of where everybody can live, where everybody can represent himself, because this is Lebanon. It is not only a question of I live in this region or in another region. It's a question of doing a will of our presence. And of course, there is another thing. It is also a biblical thing. Lebanon is mentioned in the Bible more than 70 times. And this is, I think, our mission to be there. Even among Muslims, we have a mission to reveal the love of God, to reveal the dialogue among all people, and of course, to say, we like to have a peaceful country. Let us live in peace.
So you are optimistic?
I'm very optimistic, even with all what we have, even with the difficulties we have. I'm very optimistic, and I believe in my country, and I appeal to all the Lebanese who maybe hear us or listen to us. They have a mission also themselves to do in order to be also always united, always together, and make a sort of pressure on the international community in order to take out the Lebanese problem and resolve the other problem of the region without making in
At the cost of Lebanon.
at the cost of Lebanon. We cannot be forever, we must pay the bills of the others on our country. For example, the Arab conflict and the Palestinian Arab conflict and the Palestinian Israeli conflict cannot be paid on behalf of Lebanon. Let us live in peace. We have a mission to do, and I think it will be a good example for the whole region. In the past, if you can read it in the books, they used to say Lebanon is the Switzerland of the Orient. It's true. So we must have a peace process. We must believe in our sovereignty, in our dignity, to have a country that may be a good mission for others. Lebanon cannot live either for a Christian, either for the Muslim. No. Lebanon will always live with his two wings. One wing is for the Christians, and the other wings is for the Muslims. And with two wings, you can fly. You can never fly with one wing. And I think it's also their responsibility abroad or inside Lebanon to be united, never let anybody interfere in their own problems, and of course to believe that they, together they can make maybe miracles and a true testimony for the whole region.
Father Paul Karam, thank you. Thank you for your witness. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for having been with us today in our program. And if you'd like to know more about the story of Catholics in Lebanon or the story of Lebanon itself, I'd encourage you to look at the contact information at the end of this program. And we look forward to seeing you next time on Where God Weeps.